in the last 2 weeks, they've been hit by 2 crypto viruses.
What are you looking for?
Looking for an eraser. You can use it to clean the... so I've got a PC that won't boot to a client side, and you can use an eraser to clean the connectors. Look at that, you can tell we use pens a lot in this place. Oh, there we go, that'll work. There we go. Back of a pencil. Alright, need that, then that. Take the toolkit just in case. Need that Savo anyway. Alright, catch you later.
Good luck. Lucky you're racing.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, look who it is. Josh.
Where are you boys going?
I gotta go home. Got a clean memory. Gotta do something.
Have fun.
Yeah, just heading out to a client over at Kangaroo Point. One of their PCs isn't booting, so we're just gonna have a look at it and see what's going on. We've expanded. We're doing a lot more social media work to get a little bit more, I suppose it's brand and name recognition out there. Just showcase and show people what we do. I think that's one of the challenges in IT. People might not necessarily know or understand what it takes and what we do every day to keep the networks running. There's a whole lot of other activity that goes on, making sure the networks are running, servers are running, have capacity, patched, secured, backed up. So we're monitoring and checking all those sorts of things all day, every day, through our consoles and whatnot. Our focus remains very much on making sure we can maintain high levels of support for our existing clients as we onboard new clients. We're very much focused on working with the right organisations, those that we know we can add a lot of value to. As we come to the sort of end of the year, a lot of the project style work does sort of slow down a bit. There'll be some things that we do schedule over that Christmas New Year period where our clients are quieter, so we can get a lot more maintenance done and implement some projects and things like that that won't have as big an impact on them. From an IT perspective, systems have to keep running, so we've still got to keep an eye on everything, make sure everything's ticking over, make sure everything's secure and patched. I can tell you the hackers and the viruses don't go on holidays, so it's really important that we keep an eye on all of that and make sure that the networks are running. So I think it's, whilst a lot of our customers' businesses will slow down, so they might not have as many customers coming through or whatever they need and whatever they're doing, but at the end of the day, the computers still need to be on because the team, the owners, whatever, still need access and want to see their systems and their numbers and their email. So we're going to make sure it's still running and that we've still got our support team in place over that period to answer any questions or issues that pop up. We run 24/7, so all the time, so 365. We're keeping an eye on everything. If the whole network goes down, that's a real pain from a business perspective. There's a huge cost and an impact, and obviously we don't want that to happen. But people can understand that to an extent, and they get, okay, the whole network's down, I can't do anything. But if everything from a network perspective is running, but it's just their PC or something that they're trying to do, you'd be surprised. That's what causes the most frustration during a day for users. So a user wants to be able to call in when they've got the problem to get it fixed. When networks go down, it's always all hands on deck to get it back up and running. Touch wood, it doesn't happen often. We're keeping an eye on most things, and we've got redundancy built into systems so they can get back up and running. But look, it is really important to have, you've got to have the systems in place to be able to recover. We had a client who we've started working with earlier in the year, actually late last year, where we came in, did an assessment on their network, and they had very little backup in place. They had basically no usable backup system. So all their data was at risk. They had all their email was still on premise, running on a server that was probably pushing 8 to 9 years old, running on Windows 2003 software and one of the earliest versions of Exchange that I've seen in a long time. So there was a really high risk to their business. If that server went offline or that data was lost, they're gone. Like we're not recovering that. So from our perspective, as much as we're there for the support in that scenario, they didn't have the systems in place to be able to recover anyway. So our first objective for them was to get them into a position where we and they, the client, had confidence that if something catastrophic did happen, we could actually recover the systems. So I think that's a big part of making sure the systems remain online. It's scary how many businesses probably don't realise what the risk of their current IT system is to the business. So I think a lot of it is, we've never had a problem, it's never going to happen. And the reality is, it's not if there's going to be a problem, it's when there's going to be a problem. And I take this client as an example before, in that we'd been working with them and they'd been open to fixing and addressing a number of the systems. We moved all their email to Office 365, so it immediately removed the risk to their business from losing their email in such a way. We were able to migrate their server to a new platform, but most importantly, we were able to implement a backup system. And I can tell you this week, that backup system paid for itself 10 times over. So we implemented a backup system where we're backing up their server, and it basically backs up their server every hour, creates a snapshot, backs it up, gets all their data. And in the last 2 weeks, they've been hit by 2 crypto viruses. Now, what that basically has meant is that all the data on their server has been wiped out. Now, how they got in, we're not entirely sure yet. The boys are still working through the assessment to isolate it, but it looks like it was either an infected email that came in that someone opened and took out the server, or worst case, and what we're really looking through and going through logs at the moment, is there's a possibility that their server got hacked remotely, externally, and the virus was injected that way. So the case of the story is, I mean, if this happened to them 12 months ago, gone, their business is gone. There is no data left. They're not going to be able to recover because they had no backups in place and they had aging systems. What we've been able to do with them over the last sort of 6 to 8 months is get their system to a point where it's a lot more resilient and it's protected. So yes, they got hit by a virus, which sucks, and we've got to try and find out where it came from so we can reduce it happening again. But what came out of it is we were able to restore their entire server and their data and get them back up and running within the day. So no data loss. The backup from last night or the night before was all intact and all working fine. So we were able to go back to that point in time, restore the entire server and all the data, and get them back up and running. So no data loss. Yes, there was some downtime, but we were able to provide workarounds so they can continue doing some functions in the business. But the reality is they didn't lose any data, and that in itself potentially has saved that business, because if they lose all that data, they're gone. They've got no way of getting it back. You don't pay the ransom, because you're not getting it back even if you pay the ransom. And I think I've said it before, the single most important thing any business can do is make sure they've got their data backed up. I got the monitor side of things working, but now Windows is corrupted, so there's something wrong with the hardware somewhere. So I bring it back to the office and we'll troubleshoot it. There's not really much point in spending hours and hours out on site trying to troubleshoot those things. It just makes it's more efficient for us just to bring it back, have a look at it in the office, try and get it running. We've got all the tools and software and stuff we'll need there, so it's just a bit quicker. Yeah, it's a bit of an inconvenience to the client when their PCs break, but look, it happens every now and then. It's just part of the IT process. They can just call up and ask. We've got an agreement with us where any of these niggly things or big issues like this PC phone, they just call up, ask, we'll troubleshoot it, we'll organise it, we'll fix it for them, we'll get it back up and running. It's all part of their fee, part of their service fee, so it works really well for the client. It means they don't have to worry about those sort of unexpected costs around supporting their IT, and I think that's probably the most value that you get out of the model that we've put together for our clients, is ensuring they know what they're spending each month, know what they're covered for, reduce the surprises, let us manage the IT. Works well.